Going back to school is a nerve-wracking thing for all of us. And I totally get it. At the beginning of school year, it's new teachers, new friends, maybe it's a new school, new hallways, new lockers. You don't know. It's always a new routine. Going back to school is hard. And I think for our kids, it's understanding and empathizing with them in the worry, in the fear. Part of that is us sharing our own story so that they recognize this is a completely normal fear. We all get nervous. We all have butterflies when we walk into something new. Change is hard for all of us. So when we can identify with that feeling in our kids, not only does they recognize, yeah, that's what it feels like in me too, but it also turns down the volume. So they recognize that even though they're worried, they can still go forward into school in bravery. There's other things we can do too in helping them. Maybe it's a tour of the school, meeting their teacher. Maybe it's connecting with a few kids that they know will be in their class. There's ways that practically we can help our kids and introduce them into a new situation so they're not walking in totally unaware and afraid.
Right. And if this worry came in the middle of the school year, you've been talking about the beginning of the school year. I think there's a lot of worries come up in the middle of the school year, and those tend to pique our interest even more as parents because we're like, wait a minute, school was going so well. Now all of a sudden there's a worry in the middle of the school year. And one of the pieces is even entering into their world to find out, when did this begin? And you can look at it in your own eyes as a parent and kind of see when maybe there was a behavior change in your child, or when they did start to have fear of going to school in the morning. We've seen this in our own kids, just times where they just didn't want to go to school. And sometimes it's just, they're just tired of it. But sometimes maybe something happened at school. Something really deep hurt them. I can remember myself growing up. I was invited to play tennis ball, and I just with a group of friends. And so I went with that group of friends, and I took my tennis racket to go play tennis ball. And apparently they were playing baseball with a tennis ball. So I brought a tennis racket to where everybody else was bringing baseball bats. And it was one of those situations where you're embarrassed because you're like, well, I had no idea. You hear the word tennis ball, and you're like, I'm going to play tennis. But that's not what they were doing. And so what happens is, at that point, I was embarrassed to go. I was afraid to go because I didn't want them to make fun of me. Or your child raises their hand in the middle of the classroom and says the wrong answer, confidently says the wrong answer. And all of a sudden, the rest of the classroom erupts in laughter. Your child's going to have a difficult time wanting to go back to school or feel worried about it when, maybe they didn't even do their homework, right? And now all of a sudden they're worried because they know they have a test coming up and they don't know the answers. They don't know how to talk to you about it because they're afraid you're going to think they're being lackadaisical at school, when the reality is maybe they just don't understand it. Enter into your child's world. And then what the key here is giving them the power to navigate the situation that they're worried about. Because most kids tend to worry about something situational. It's something that they can overcome. So if it is a test, help them prepare to study for it. Don't accuse them of being lackadaisical. Help them navigate this in a way that they can gain control in the situation and have power over the test. Or that they show up differently as it relates to even just simply learning. I never learned about tennis ball. Tell me about tennis ball, and asking the friends, or put a tennis racket and a baseball bat in their backpack the next day and send them on to school so they're prepared for any of it. Whatever it is, just like Christi said in the beginning, go to the school, take pictures of the locker, help your children problem solve the situation at home. Give them opportunities. And here's the other key piece of this is role play scenarios with your kids. This is one of the most powerful things we can do at home, is help your kids navigate it by role playing situations at school that they're experiencing, so that they have 2 or 3 different ways that they can respond to a situation when they show up there. So show up with them, lead in such a way that you're empathetic and listening, and then help them problem solve to give them power in a particular situation.